Hi, friends. Anna and I would love to welcome you back to another episode of the Living with Grace podcast. We are thrilled to be here today with you. It's such a gift, and I cannot wait to dive deep in today's topic. As Anna and I were discussing the show and the topic for this week, and what was going on in our lives, we noticed an emerging theme that was kind of taking shape. You know, we all arrive here today as the sum of our life experiences, our trials, our tribulations, the changes that we face in life all shape us, all mold us. It's a continuous process. Who we were yesterday is not necessarily who we'll be tomorrow. It's an ever-changing and fluid process. We become new versions of ourselves based on our experiences. And so as Anna and I chatted, we saw this topic kind of start to emerge and noticed this common theme, which I think is self-compassion. Now, in today's episode, we really want to dive deep into what self-compassion is, what self-compassion is not, what self-compassion does, and also how to practice it, and all the things in between. So with that, I want to welcome Anna into the conversation. Anna, let's talk about life, the changes, and how we can face it with self-compassion.
Hi, my sweet Mary. Hi, everyone who is here with us listening to our podcast. I am so very excited to be here with you talking about self-compassion and how to navigate change in our lives. Because I have gone in my life through so many changes. I moved abroad from Brazil to the USA. I started a new career here in the United States. I, dealt with my husband having cancer and dying, and I have moved 5 times here in 6 years after he died. So change is something that it's always happening in my life, and it's always happening in each one of our lives, right? We change because we are aging, we change because we retire, because we become moms, because the kids get out of our houses, and because we lose our health, or someone who we love so much ends up passing away, or any kind of change that happens in our lives. So let's navigate change together. Let's hold each other with compassion to others and to us. And on that, I want Mary to share with you guys some concepts and basics about self-compassion.
The thing that I love about self-compassion is that a lot of people seem to think that we need to kind of push through. We need to, there's a notion out there that we need to be tough on ourselves, to motivate ourselves. We need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get on with life and beat ourselves up or berate ourselves when we mess up, or when we fall short of our expectations. And honestly, research shows that it's the exact opposite. When we show ourselves kindness, when we're feeling pain or feeling disappointment with disappointment with our shortcomings, that actually helps us to learn from the perceived mistake and helps us to put us back on a better path, and it helps us to feel better. So self-compassion is the precursor to self-love. And, I know that self-love and self-compassion, self-care can all sound very fluffy, but, they're real. And it's really important to realize that without self-compassion and without self-love, first of all, without self-love, we cannot love and show up for other people. You have to fill from your own cup first, put on your own oxygen mask so that you can be there for other people. And self-compassion helps us to do that, because we all know that we're not perfect, right? And that, that life happens, that we're going to make mistakes. So let me just back up for a second and let's just go through what self-compassion is. There's three different components to self-compassion. I kind of already touched on one. The first one is kindness, is loving kindness, being kind to yourself, especially in times of pain or difficulties. So that's the first one, being kind to yourself. I think that we've all sort of heard that or understood that self-compassion is um, speaking to ourselves in the same way that we would speak to someone else when they've had a tough time. So it's using that kindness towards ourselves. So that's the first component.
And in the first component, I would say like being kind to yourself as an action, right? Like Mary said, speaking to yourself with kindness, and also looking around of what are the things that bring like joy and light to your day, that you could create. You could like simply stop in front of the mirror and give yourself a hug and put your hands in your heart and practice the vagus nerve technique, saying, I am safe, I am well, I am blessed. And you are blessing yourself, you are showing love to yourself, you are showing self-compassion, and you are calming yourself down, you are grounding yourself. And again, like I said, things that bring joy and happiness might be just a music on the background while you are working or working out, or just like pausing for 10 minutes and doing some breathing exercises that we have discussed before. So all these are examples of being kind to yourself, right? It's like, I can't go to the gym for the last 2 weeks because I am sick. And just saying to myself, you know what? You are recovering. You deserve to recover. You need to recover, and you are doing your best. And kudos for you, because you still did your steps walking around the house. See, so celebrating your small wins, because they are all wins, no matter the size we put on them. Like the value is what we give to them. So let's give the value of love and kindness to us. Go ahead, Mary. Second step.
I love that, Anna. I really do. And even when you said to go to the mirror and and give yourself some love, I instantly just felt so relaxed. I mean, so yes, that is so beautiful, and it is instantly calming, and I felt the love. So I loved that you said that. The second component is common humanity. And I think this one is so important and has really helped me on my grief journey, really. Because, okay, so for anyone listening who doesn't know me, my son Brian passed away 8 years ago. And I've had to show myself a lot of self-compassion. And I'm sure that you all out there have had just, really tough experiences where you've had to show yourself some compassion. But the thing about the common humanity piece has been so powerful for me, is that I don't feel so isolated in my grief, because common humanity is the idea that I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Humanity is not perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I'll take it a step further in that, I'm not the only person who's grieving the loss of a child. I'm not alone in that. It's happened before. It's been happening, since the dawn of time. I'm not alone. It doesn't make, my experience any less painful to me in some ways, but I know I'm not alone. And knowing that you're not alone when you're grieving or when you're feeling sad is so important. Again, knowing that we're all in this together, we're all just walking each other home. Common humanity. Anna, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I love that too, because it's like understanding that we are all souls and we are similar as souls, and we are having a human experience in our bodies, like Gary Zukav says. And I also have my husband who passed away 8 years ago, and that's how I met Mary through our grief journey and healing. And, you know, the self-compassion is so important. And the common humanity that comes from that is sharing your story and sharing your fears and your doubts and your insecurities and your uncertainties and your sadness and your longing, and seeing that there is space for you in the other because the other is you as well, right? The other is just a different form of body, but it's the same soul, the same heart, the same energy. And it just makes the unbearable more bearable, knowing that someone else understands and sees and hears you in your entirety. So again, like Mary said, it's not that the pain of missing someone you love is going to be less or more. It's the pain. It's the pain from someone you lost, someone you love who has died. But it becomes more bearable, more sustainable to do life and to rebuild life when there is someone else in the world that hugs you and embraces you in your similarities. And also the similarities of healing, right? That's why we are here sharing the tools of navigating changes, because the same way we have the same fears and doubts and uncertainties, we also have the same strengths, the same courage, the same love, the same gratitude, the same hope. We just have to tap into them. Sometimes they are just hidden, but we just have to tap into them, and they will flourish with others helping us and holding our hands.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other element about common humanity, which is, I think, so important when you're healing from anything, from grief or any life change, any trial, is that I think it makes it easier to employ self-forgiveness. I think understanding that, you know, common humanity, is imperfect, that I'm human, I'm not perfect. That allows me to look back on my journey, look back on my journey and being able to forgive myself for things that I wish I had done differently, right? I mean, I think that especially in grief, that comes up a lot. I think that when someone you love has passed, you go through all of the things that you wish you had done better, things that you wish you had done differently, all the things. And I think that, again, one of the reasons why self-compassion in general is so helpful and so helpful for me is that, it's allowed me to forgive myself for being human and for not knowing what I didn't know. So,
Yeah. And I love that too. Forgive yourself for being human, because that's how we were created. We were created perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. And we were created and we are loved unconditionally by God, by the Creator, by the universe, and we are loved unconditionally as souls. So, again, forgiving yourself for not knowing it before what you know now, because we only can do, Maya Angelou says, we will do better when we know better, right? So after going through a change, after going through something impactful, of course we're going to have new tools and new resources and new knowledge. But again, it's new. It came with the change. The change brought the tools and the resources and the knowledge and the growth, right? So having forgiving yourself and just moving forward, building the next step in love towards you and all the new baggage of tools and resources, and not seeing the whatever that we think that we could have done better or we should have done better, not seeing that as a mistake, but seeing that as a lesson, as a brick for the house, the safe house you are building for yourself, your heaven that you are building for yourself on earth. It's just one more brick for your heaven on earth. And yes, I love that because, And I like that you said that it's any kind of change, because when we say grief, we immediately connect to someone we love who has died. And grief could be so many different things too. Grief could be when we get sick, or when someone we love gets sick and doesn't necessarily dies, or when we retire and we had connected our value to the doing instead of the being, or again when you move to another country and it's a different culture, or when you get married, you're grieving being single, or when you divorce, you are grieving the marriage that, again, you're going to ask yourself, what could I have done better? And you could not, you could not have done better, because the knowledge, and you did your best, and having self-compassion and self-forgiveness, and grabbing the lesson, grabbing the hope, grabbing the gratitude, instead of asking, again, rephrasing, right? Asking the question, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Why has this happened to me? I don't deserve that. Or instead of saying that, just sitting, allowing yourself to feel it, but seeing differently, like, what is the lesson? What is the growth? What are the tools and the knowledge and the resources I'm going to get from that? And knowing that the change in question happens gradually, right? You don't, in one day you're asking, why is this happening for me? And tomorrow you're going to be asking, oh, what is the lesson? No, it's like one day you are asking, why is this happening for me? And then you start sitting with the pain, and you start elaborating the pain, and you start asking, what is the lesson? What is the lesson? What is the lesson? Until suddenly you are not asking why anymore, but you are just grabbing the gratitude and the lesson, right?
Love that. And yeah, I love all of the examples that you gave of change, even changes that are seemingly positive, or, quote unquote, happy changes, do require us to, use self-compassion and self-love, because change, is a human thing, and being human can be hard. So
Yes.
so all of those things, just work together. Um, so with that, the third component of self-compassion is mindfulness. And, we've done a podcast on mindfulness. And the reason why mindfulness is such an important component of self-compassion is that you can't give yourself what you need if you're not aware that you need something, so pausing and realizing, hey, I'm in pain, or that doesn't feel good. How can I make myself feel better? Maybe I need to go to the mirror and look at myself in the eyes and tell myself, I'm okay, you're okay, it's going to be okay. But having the awareness to know that you need something, and then being able to reflect on what that something may be, is a huge component of self-compassion. Um, you need to hold on and balance all of the emotions, and that's what mindfulness helps us to do, is to, see what we need, see the pain, be aware of whatever it is, our lives, and then balance that with letting it go. The dance, if you will, of holding on and
I love
letting go.
yes, I love the component of the self-awareness, because it opens up such a huge um, platitude of things that you could do for yourself. Like, with awareness, you can just stop and realize, what do I need? What do I want for the life I am building? What is not negotiable that I'm not gonna that I'm not gonna give up in the life that I'm building? And what do I need to do myself to build confidence and trust and commitment and discipline towards me, in a way that when I embrace the whole worthiness that I am also teaching people around me to treat me as I deserve, and by treating me as I deserve, I don't have to people please, because I don't have to work towards being loved and seen and heard and valuable, which are the basic needs of a human being. So again, building my self-worth by awareness, knowing what I need, knowing what I want, what is not negotiable, what I want more in my life, what I want less in my life, what I can release because it does not bring me peace, the people who I need to change the interaction and the relationships because they are bringing pain and suffering to my life. And really, like, with awareness, it allows you to pause and really connect to your gut instinct, to your intuition, to your soul memory, to your soul emotional intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Because you had experiences that went really well and you had experiences that went really bad, and they were choices, they were changes that happened, right? And instead of fearing new changes, just take a leap of faith. Keep exploring life, experimenting with life, which Mary is going to talk a little bit more, but also trusting yourself, looking behind, measuring your progress. And and just pausing for a moment. When I made that decision that was so amazing, how was I feeling? How was my body telling me that would be a good decision, that would probably be a good decision? Or when I made that decision that I wasn't feeling very well with my body, can I trust me? Yes, you can. And knowing that even when you make a decision that was not the best one, you can always change. Or even when you make a decision that is the best one, you can always readjust to get even better and better, because since you are going to keep changing, the changes are going to keep changing too, right? We are going to evolve together with our own changes. Like our body, we are evolving with our aging. We are choosing exercise, we are choosing rest, we are choosing proper nutrition and proper hydration, because we are changing and adjusting the changes so then we can evolve for an optimal functional life. And yeah, so what would you have to say about the what I just said, that I just forgot, of course,
Yeah,
my
well,
my menopause brain.
for, no, for sure. I totally, there's so much that I want to say because you hit on so many great points that I love, and I'm going to go there in a second. And I think what does dovetail with what you just said is that one of the things that I think that self-compassion can do is it allows us to separate the idea of making, say, again, quote unquote, bad decision with us than being a bad person, or, being bad, so, it helps us to separate ourselves from our thoughts. We are not the bad decision. We made a decision that we may need to adjust and pivot from, but we perhaps we made a quote unquote bad decision, but we're not a bad person. And it shows us that our worth, isn't based on our thoughts and our feelings. Our worth isn't based on our thoughts and feelings. We're human beings making decisions every day, and we have the ability to pivot and change. So yeah, I mean, I loved what you said there, because that all fits into that, um, that, that concept, the thought of that. Um, so, and the thing that you said, and I'm just going to go here because I just love this, is the thing that you said that I also really loved is that, and you may not have said it exactly like this, but this is what I heard, is that, when you give yourself permission to experience life, when you give yourself permission to explore life, knowing that you're trusting your gut at the moment to make a decision, or all the information along with your gut to make a decision. And if it doesn't work out, then you've made a mistake. But self-compassion is what allows us to be able to do that. So if anyone who's listening is feeling stuck, you don't know, either you've been through, let's just say, the dark night of your soul, or you're struggling with midlife, or you don't know where you're going and you don't know what to do, I invite you to give yourself permission to experience life. Give yourself permission to make a mistake, and then with self-compassion and with self-love, if it doesn't, if what you tried doesn't work out, then you can pivot. Because here's the thing: when you give yourself permission to experience life, then it allows you to start dabbling in the things that might excite you, the things that might bring you joy, or things that might fuel your passion. And I'm here to tell you that when you fuel your passion and open up to life, it will automatically lead you to your purpose. Your passion and your joy are connected with your life purpose.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to go in two different ways with what you just said. First of all, I want to go back to when I said my menopause brain. I just forgot what I said. So again, you laugh because I'm having self-compassion on me. Sometimes I forget things, and it's likely related to the menopause. And for that, I just want to say, specifically for the women who are going to perimenopause and menopause, there are so many changes happening in your body. And it is so very much important for you to have self-compassion. Like, it's the waist circumference and your belly that is getting bigger. It's your sleep that is getting worse, and the night sweats and the hot flashes, and the itchiness in your ear, and the brain fog and the memory issues. So many, many, many things. So have compassion. And
there's help, and we're going to do a podcast about that. But
yes,
know that there is help for that.
yes, and there is help. Seek for a good gynecologist who understands about hormonal therapy too. But again, have self-compassion towards you, and what Mary said in the beginning, there's a phrase so well that say, no pain, no gain. This is far from the truth for menopause, for menopause women, in special for menopause women. It's true for all of us, but menopause, it's not about no pain, no gain. Menopause is about self-compassion, self-care, having a good doctor taking care of you, good nutrition, and good exercise. And it's not exercising more and eating less, because it's about finding the equilibrium that it's going to help you, like, decrease the stress that's going on in your body. But again, we're going to talk about that in another podcast. But I thought that it would be such a good thing to remind us menopause women about self-compassion. And when Mary talks about experimenting with life, exploring life, and make a decision and make a change, and then you have to readjust, it's about really, again, not seeing it as a mistake at all. With the self-compassion, you are going to see it as an experience, as a lesson, as one more step you needed to learn and to give to get where you want to go and where you are going to go. And using resilience, I once heard Brené Brown saying that resilience is our capacity of bouncing back from difficult situations, right? So when you are in a place that it's hurting, or you are feeling insecure or fear or doubt, or you are feeling like, oh man, I made a bad decision, just bounce back. Bounce back, get the lesson, and go back straight to the path again, and start walking and start going forward again. Because
I do not believe in bad decisions, or I don't believe in mistakes, is what I
Yep.
wanted to say. I
Yep.
think that everything happens exactly as it's meant to unfold. I know that's
Yep.
really hard for some people to hear, because that it can really keep you stuck. But I don't believe in mistakes, and I don't believe in coincidences. I think that I am learning, and as you said, Anna, I think the gold nuggets are in recognizing that you're learning and trying to grasp the lesson as you go along, not looking at it as a mistake, but as a lesson. And what is the lesson? What am I supposed to?
Bounce back. Yep.
Right.
Bounce back, go back to the path. And like Mel Robbins says, when you go back to the path, celebrate yourself. Because much more important than getting the task done is allowing yourself to fail, quote unquote, and go back on track. Because so many of us, when something happens that we feel that we failed, or we feel that it was a mistake, or, then we just sometimes we just keep there in the zone that we are not taking action because we think that it's not valuable anymore, and it's such a huge mistake. The most important thing is bouncing back immediately to the path and celebrating that no matter what happened, you are back on the path of creating and building the life that you deserve. And yeah.
And you know what I think is really also really helpful to remember, as you were saying that, it hit me, is that, life is a journey, not a destination. Even when you stray off of that path, um, that's all part of it. There isn't, again, happiness isn't created by reaching the end, reaching the destination. It's the joy of the journey. And so when you stray off that path, I guess case in point is when you stray off that path and then you get back on the path, it feels so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can celebrate that, but also it's all, it's the ebb and flow, it's the yin and yang, it's the all
Yeah.
of the things, and it all fits together so beautifully. Again, it's the notion of the tapestry and how it all your life fits together. And I always love that. So did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Because then I'll move on to talk about how we practice self-compassion. But if you have more there.
I think it's just like, again, seeing changes as chances, and chances in making choices that align with body, mind, and spirit, and align with your soul. And that's what we're going to speak right now, like the things that you can do that are stepping from fear to faith and just hope and building life. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So we touched on what self-compassion is, what it isn't, and what self-compassion does. Now, okay, how do I practice self-compassion aside from being kind to myself? What is a good example of that? There's a few of them. Again, being kind to yourself, but being kind to yourself without judgment, and rather with patience and understanding. You know what? Okay, if I have a goal or something that I wanted to do and I fall short of it, not only am I going to be kind to myself about it, but I might try to realize that even if it happens again, I'm doing my best, is that I'm going to be patient with myself. Sometimes it's not one and done, sometimes it takes time to build that, muscle memory or whatever it is. I'm going to be kind to myself with patience and understanding.
Yeah.
So
And for these words so beautiful that Mary is saying, I would invite you who has not listened of our podcast about the four agreements. I would definitely invite you to listen to that, because that's the foundation of being kind to yourself, is paying attention to how you are speaking to yourself, being impeccable with your word, is doing your best, and not taking assumptions, but like mainly the two first agreements are related to being kind to yourself. And
For
that's a
sure.
foundation for life. That's a foundation for health, right? Mental health. That's a foundation for mood and energy and connection to you and to life.
Sure. And so now I'm reminded of a quote from the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, where he said that you can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. So we just got done saying that self-compassion is the wait, self-compassion is the precursor to self-love. You have to be self-compassionate before you can self. So see how it all just goes together. When you're
Yeah.
kind to yourself in your thoughts and your words, when you show your self-compassion, you're more likely to then be able to show that to others and be impeccable with your word. All flows together.
And
So.
remember all the time, remind yourself that your worth is by you being you, being. It's not about the doing.
Mhm.
So it's definitely saying no to others when it means saying yes to you. It's definitely taking time to prioritize yourself. It's definitely no pleasing, because people pleasing is a way of looking for love for what regarding on what you do, and you don't need to do that, because your love value is your being. You are a child of God, you are divine, you are soul, you are light. So no people pleasing. You have to please only you. And then
That's
by pleasing you, it's not selfish. By pleasing you, by taking care of you, you're gonna overflow your cup and you're gonna give from goodness. And when you give from goodness, that's also a form of self-love, because then you're getting goodness back, right?
That is absolutely right. And that is part of what is another way to practice self-love, which is to set boundaries, saying no to things that undermine your ability to take care of yourself or your energy or your ability to be you.
Yeah.
So setting those boundaries, just saying no, taking care of yourself when you need to, is another way to practice self-compassion.
And respectfully towards you and respectfully to whoever is interacting with you, removing yourself from a situation that is hurting you, removing yourself from a situation that is diminishing your value, and teaching the relationship the value you have and how you should be treated. And how, yeah.
Yeah.
But first, you need to know how you should be treated. And that's where you have self-compassion and self-love, because that's when you learn to value yourself enough. So then people will give you the value you have.
That's right. You get to know yourself, self-love with self-compassion, and then you teach others, by the energy that you give
Mhm.
off, so to speak, and
Yeah,
they know how they take your directive and how to treat you. So, yeah. So,
absolutely.
another way to practice, I've touched on this already, to practice self-compassion is self-forgiveness, is forgiving yourself. Not only forgiving yourself, again, forgiving yourself for uh, what you may not have known or things that you wish you had said or done differently, but also letting go of things. Don't hold on, try not to hold on to something that you that you can't control. If you can't control it, let it go. Find a way to make peace.
Jay Shetty says so well, like, your past is a place for reference, not a place for residence. So whatever has happened has happened. You cannot change what happened, but you could use the reference and the knowledge and the tools and the lessons and build different from now on. And the future, which is anxiety, and we already talked about this in the prior podcast, you should not be worried about the future, because tomorrow is what you are doing today. So do it well today, and definitely you're going to be having a good tomorrow, right?
And
So
know that
just
you can always change it. In
yes,
any
exactly.
given moment, you can always shift your energy, you can always shift your energy to something that may be a little bit more positive to
Yes,
start moving in a different direction. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, the next one, Anna, you will love because it is practicing gratitude. When
Yes.
we practice gratitude, it helps us to, think about it. When you're thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for, maybe I'm grateful for something that I did, I don't know, but it allows us to see our gifts and our talents. It allows us to feel good about ourselves and our lives.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. And we already had a podcast about gratitude too. And gratitude definitely allows you to see the changes in your life in a different way that shifts the perception from pain to love and peace, from fear to love and peace. Like if I look at my husband's death, of course it's going to bring me to a place of sadness and maybe resentment or anger, or like what could I have done different, or what should I have done different. However, when I ask my questions, what is the lesson, what is the lesson, and I find the love that we have together before and now in souls, and I am able to be grateful for the relationship, for having met him, for having had the relationship with him done, it was a change, and I am grateful. I am grateful because I would have not want anything different if since this was the plan of God. It's not if, but since, so there are some changes that they just happen. They are not under my control or under your control. And for these changes, no matter if you're going to feel denial, sadness, anger, no matter if you're going to want to fight the change, it's not gonna be, it is done. That's the change, period. So the best way is to ask the questions, grab to the love, grab to the gratitude, and surrender, and work every day, every second of the day in gratitude and surrender and love. And for the changes that you have control, just keep taking your chances and making choices that are good for you and your health in body, mind, and spirit, and keep readjusting. So keep changing the changes, right? Keep changing the changes. And that's so important. Like Mary said, many things that are important for us as a whole, and other things that we have been talking so much too. It's like doing your exercise, enjoying your sun, your cold showers, your eating healthy, nutritious food, just taking care of your body as the vessel of your soul. Your body is what you have for your whole life, day one until last breath. So your body is an investment. Your body is your major asset. So just take care of your body and choose your heart. Choose the heart of taking care of your body daily with discipline and repetition, and the changes you're going to see are the daily little one. The big change you're going to see are the daily little changes you are building in choosing what is important for you. And it's all going to be so worthy. And it's so worthy now, right?
yes. And remember, through all of that, we're not alone. Remember the piece, the common humanity piece. Again,
Yep.
I got to come back to that for a second because it's so key. And, I've done a lot of work with I'm a grief recovery method specialist,
Mm-hmm.
Anna, you know that. And I've worked with a lot of parents on grief recovery. And the thing, again, that common humanity allows us is that it helps us to remember that we're not alone. And I think it can really help us in any case, stay out of over identification with our story or victimhood, because when we over identify, that's when we start to ruminate and we stay stuck. So, being able to remember that we are not alone, that we all experience, go through experiences, tough experiences, I am, you know, I am the mom of a son in spirit, but that is not how I define myself. It's part of me. It's something that I couldn't deny if I wanted to. I don't want to deny it. It's expanded me and changed me in so many ways. And I think really ultimately it's made me a more compassionate person. And I but I think that if I were to over-identify with it or to fixate on that all the time, then it would keep me stuck, and it would keep me out of gratitude. It would keep me out of all the things that help us to feel compassionate toward ourselves and others. And that, again, the compassion is what helps us with self-love. And so I just wanted to just reinforce that, because I feel the pain of so many people who have loved ones on the other side, or wherever they think they are. And my hope in my prayer is that with self-compassion and self-forgiveness, that you can allow yourself the the ability to say yes to experiencing life, and finding peace and joy, even, but serenity at the very least. So
Yeah. And I love the commonality, the commonality of being humans, because getting out of the grief subject a little bit, we are as a medical doctor, we are a population that 95% of us are dealing with so many chronic diseases, and being dependent in so many medications, and having so much inflammation in our body that we already discussed when we talked about visceral fat. So that's a commonality too. We are walking a path that is leading us to insulin resistance and diabetes and prediabetes and dementia and nursing homes and walkers and oxygen tanks. So like, it's so important that we, as a unique, community, hold our hands together, and in commonality we fight this together, because our bodies are the same. We have the same muscles, we have the same blood, we have the same heart pumping, right?
we're
So
more alike than we are different, all of us.
exactly. So let's just work together on these two, on building health for mental, brain, cognition, and fighting chronic diseases, and building a body that is good for aging, good for aging. Aging is change. So let's build a change that it's positive, because these are changes that we can control too. We can control our exercises, we can control our eating, we can control the environment that will lead us to age with grace, to age like properly, right? Then that's what I invite each one of us, either if we are going through changes of grief, or through changes of, having a baby and being a new mom, and oh my God, I'm so sleep deprived. Oh my God, I am, all these changes, any changes we are going through, let us just hold on. And they have one common aspect. We all have courage, we all have faith, we all have hope, and we all have in us, what we need to navigate the change. We just have to tap into all the strength we have from our souls. And just having the memory in the heart that we are together, in the storm, that we are together. We are in different boats, but we are in the same storm, right?
For sure. For
The
sure.
the same storm of life. Let's just help each other,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the final way to practice self-compassion is with the practice that I did share in our last podcast on mindfulness, I think it was. And I won't go into deep detail, but it's practicing the loving kindness meditation. And I think that, barring final thoughts, I think it's a great way to begin to wrap up this episode, because again, when you show yourself compassion and self-love, and then you feel that deeply in your heart and you sit with that, and then you start to let that expand outward, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful practice. And again, I think it's a way to feel connected with yourself, with your community, with your state, with your country, with your world in general. So it's just a sort of a hand on your heart and just wishing all beings in yourself that you're safe and that you're loved, and then just feeling that and sending that out. So I just wanted to share that last practice. Ultimately, you know, being kind to yourself and learning giving yourself permission to live life again opens you up to your purpose, and your purpose is to shine your light, and show others where the light is. So that's
Yeah.
what I wish for everyone.
Yes, me too. And for those of you who believe that putting the hand in your heart and saying you are loved, you are safe, you are well, might be, again, like Mary said, very soft. It is not. It is research proven. So just putting your hands in your heart, taking some breaths with long exhales, closing your eyes and saying the words, you are safe, you are loved, you are okay, it works in your parasympathetic nervous system and calms you down and decreases the alert system in your body and brings you to a level of real connection and inner strength. And that's what you need for any change you're going to make in your life. So start making the change by calming you down, and then grab your inner strength and let it flow from your heart to all around you and everything you have to change and to take decisions. And just keep living.
With grace.
We love you.
We love you so much. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we will be back very soon, and we can't wait to be back with you. Take good care.